let's go ahead and actually watch this video. This reaction of a video by Nixium where he recently got into Elder Scrolls Online and made a reaction video after 2 weeks. So I thought I could actually take two birds out with one stone, since Nixium video has things that you should be correcting within it and require a little bit more veteran's perspective to actually get the information right. And then Asmongold says things that are wrong, even though he's never really played it. But you know what? I ain't gonna be too salty about it. I ain't gonna be too salty about it. I don't know. Should I just turn that off? Yeah, I should probably just turn that off, because the dude has background music on his own thing.
Amnesia? Yeah, I've thought about playing one of those games. If people want to see it, maybe I'll do it. Okay,
Here we go. Christ, we gotta stop that.
OTC? Not yet. What are your thoughts on WoW population and what the current population is?
I understand BFA's population's actually gone down considerably, but I stopped playing that expansion a long-ass time ago. RIP Enhancement Shaman.
Hello everybody, my name
Looking
is
frosty
Nixium,
there.
also known as Jarl and Thoriel, and welcome back to another exciting video.
Got a little Nord heavy armor.
He has a tabard, that's cool.
Online.
So, like, you look at that armor. I want to go ahead and just pause right here. You guys love it whenever I pause on videos. So
damn, less than 30 seconds.
You look at this armor. It looks pretty cool. Now, does this armor look badass enough for me to want to waste 1,000 hours to try to get it?
Try more like it would take you less than a day to get. Hell, someone could craft that for you and then send it over. Hell, you don't even need to craft it per se. You could literally just get the motif for that piece of armor set, that Nord heavy armor, put it on an outfit, and then wear that outfit. You don't even have to craft the armor per se. You could make effectively a costume of that armor. It's certainly not a high tier armor like AMD's brand new Bloodforge or the... God, what are those called? Like the ones from the brand new high-end dungeons that take ages to grind. This one, literally, you can pick up a book from a backpack and you know it instantaneously.
No, not really. But it does look good, which is a start.
Used to be everyone's go-to armor back when the game launched in 2014. That and Imperial Heavy. Those looked pretty damn fucking sick.
Okay. Thoughts on the game
now,
so far?
I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking to yourselves, Nixium, I played that game when it came out, and it sucked. And you know what? Yeah,
you'd be right.
It fucking sucked.
Okay, so
Elder
maybe now
Scrolls
it's good.
Online had an absolutely terrible launch, and hey, we all know that. But since...
Well, to be fair, the launch was filled with bugs, and that's what caused a lot of people to not be able to progress past certain parts, and that's what pissed off a lot of people. But now the name of the game these days is performance, but even then, that's still mostly fixed.
Since then, ZeniMax Entertainment has put a lot of time and effort into patching the game, fixing issues, adding more content, and so I decided
he's
to
doing
give
good
it
there,
another
taunting
chance.
all
I've
those
been
little
playing
bugs
it over the past few weeks, so I wanted to do a video where I would share my thoughts on what I like about the game and what I dislike about the game, and maybe offer you guys a potential new MMO to explore.
I just want to say, holy damn, I don't remember using those type of tactics where you just left-click spam all the fucking mobs to death. Although, to be fair, nowadays, when it comes to balancing, this game heavily incentivizes you to use light attacks when you're weaving all of your abilities. I'm not sure if they recommend necessarily just like a fucking windshield wiper, but that's just me.
If you're in the market to explore another MMO. So let's jump straight into the
which no one really is these days,
shall we? The first thing we need to talk about in this game is the character customization. Now, I'm not talking about
creme de la crop,
the nose and the mouth and all that crap. That stuff's fine. But I'm talking about being able to create any kind of character that you want in this game. Elder Scrolls Online is more of a true RPG.
Are you sure? Can I create a cripple?
That you can really
can it be in a wheelchair? I don't think so.
Character that you want. Do you want to be a badass wizard who uses staffs and wears heavy armor?
Yes.
You can do it.
What?
Lightning bolt.
Do you want to be a rogue that heals people while wearing light armor and like a robe or something? You can do it. The game really lets you be anything, even some weird combination.
I think that's cool, right? That's obviously cool. But let's be honest.
Nixium is right.
There's always people that play a meta. So if you see a rogue that's healing, you're like, oh wow, that's like a survival hunter now. I just won't invite them to my group. So I think this is like this is a surface level good thing. But in an MMO, like I think there's a very unique thing that happens in MMOs that is not really as present in games like Diablo or like Path of Exile. Whenever there are obviously like the best builds, but you don't necessarily have to play those. The difference is that in MMOs, you have to play with other people, and whenever you involve other people, the group's needs come before your own. And even if that's not something that you feel, the other people won't invite you to play with them if you're not going to put your best foot forward to make your character as good as possible. So I don't know really if that's going to work. And it's the same as like WoW, right? Where like if a character or a class or a spec has a bad like perception in the community, then everybody's going to fucking hate it, even if it's not actually that bad.
So when it actually comes to metas in this game, what usually a lot of people... No, I'm watching somebody who's watching video, so I'm watching a video where someone's playing ESO. You see, this is level of metaphysics that can't even be potentially possible. But hey, what's up there, man? So, when it comes to actual metas within this game, and things like how should I say, this game's talking about a Nightblade healer. And the thing is, when it comes to this game, there is many ways ahead to potentially heal somebody. Hell, there's even potentials for a stamina hero. So think about it as like a warrior in World of Warcraft, able to heal a group. It's very hard to do. It's very challenging to do, but it is potentially viable. It just requires the right build and a load of patience. Don't mind me censoring myself here. I don't want to get demonetized or thrown off YouTube. But when it comes to metas in this game, sure, there are very pronounced metas when it comes to, say, min-maxing, when you want to get the best heals per second, or the best damage per second, or the best yada yada yada. However, when it comes to PvE, there are a multitude of ways to hit really high DPS numbers that would put you on top of the DPS charts for any guild. And that would actually potentially contribute to a higher leaderboard score for competing veteran trials, this game's current raids. So, say if you wanted to go a DK for stamina class, or a Templar, or a Nightblade, or a Warden, or a Sorcerer, those all potentially could reach the 30, 40, 50k DPS marks, depending on how you build your character with certain skills, with certain champion point selections, with certain food selections, with certain potion selectings. I mean, there's such a high degree of variance with this game that just even listing all of the sets that you can craft, find, and acquire through, trials, dungeons, single-person trials, battlegrounds, the Imperials. I mean, there's probably over 100 sets now these days that you can actually utilize. I mean, there's close to, over 20 Monster Helm sets that are just 2P sets that have a high degree of variance between every single one of them. So, sure, there is a meta, but there's also, how should I say, many ways to succeed in this game. Now, when it comes to PvP, there's a different story. However, that is addressed later on in this video. So, takeaway from that, many ways to succeed. Yes, very nice.
That you wouldn't expect, and that's really cool. I mean, hell, if you want, just be a crafter, just a pure 100% crafter.
That actually is really cool.
Whatever
I like that.
And I like that.
Well, the thing is, when it comes to becoming a 100% crafter, it used to be back in 2014, there was a limited amount of skill points afforded to you by quests and afforded to you by sky shards. So it actually was kind of a bit of a compromise to become a pure 100% crafter in, say, blacksmithing, tailoring, leatherworking, and alchemy and provisioning. And now we also have jewelry crafting that was recently added to this game in Somerset. So nowadays, it's a little bit less of an issue. You can still be a crafter and still have plenty of points left over for the variety of builds and armor sets in this game. You just have to do a lot of content to actually do that.
Having that freedom in an MMO, I think, makes the MMO a lot more colorful and rich, and it makes the replayability a lot
Probably right.
a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think so, anyway. The second thing you're probably...
And the thing is, too, that replayability factor is a huge point in this game. It's not going to be like Mass Effect Andromeda, where you play one character that has access to everything, so therefore there is no incentive to actually explore and actually try new things. So this game does have a little bit of a difference to it.
going to notice as you play the game is first-person mode. Now, first-person mode in this game is really cool.
The highlight of the first-person mode. Use it for advanced roleplay.
You're doing a dungeon or something. You're probably not going to do it in first-person mode.
I would
unless
hope
you've got
not.
a really big dick. Okay, which I don't, so I don't.
Well, that's not. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
But if you want
100%
some really
first person.
You gotta have a medium dick there. You gotta be able to talk to ghosts.
cool role-play-ish gameplay,
All the
if
time.
you really want to get into the world, going into first-person mode can be an absolute treasure.
Kill it.
So it's
Kill it,
something
Nixium.
unique to the game.
And also really
Oh,
fucking
I ran away.
I
nauseating.
wanted to put it on the list. The third thing I want
Okay.
to talk about is the lore of the game. This is the Elder Scrolls that we're talking about, and anybody that has studied Elder Scrolls lore even a little bit knows just how rich the Elder Scrolls lore is. The universe is teeming with information, information about various characters and
I played Oblivion for like 200 hours. Aside from knowing that there was a king that talked to me, after those 200 hours, I had absorbed zero lore. If you were to ask me anything about Oblivion, like where did it take place?
I mean, you just like
anything,
walk
I
around,
have
pick
no
herbs,
fucking idea.
do slash
All I
walk
would do
roleplay.
in that game is go around and kill people and collect their swords and put them in my house. That's it. I didn't do anything besides that. That's it.
And I kind of had that same experience when it came to Skyrim, except much less playtime was actually afforded to the original playthrough, because I played like for about 24 hours getting through the main quest line, and then when I actually started reaching the conclusion of the storyline, I'm like, wow, I only have one choice, and it really sucks. Y'all fucking know about Parthenax there. So I actually quit the game right there at 24 hours, just of Skyrim, just because of how pissed off I was about that. Later, only coming back like a year or two later, after installing some 200 mods into the game, and started adding some big anime titties, before I started, you know what, yeah, maybe I should give this game another shot, and oh my god, when you add in all of those mods, it is beautiful.
Mods and events, some of which contradict each other, and you gotta sit there and think, man, what is the truth behind this world? How do I interpret all these events and these characters and these actions? And it just is a very rich and compelling world that sucks you in. And even for someone like me that's not a massive fan
He's
of
wearing
the
Tips
Elder
Out
Scrolls
shirt.
lore, I found myself reading a lot of books in this game and paying attention to the quest lines.
And there are a
just-
load of books to
I
read.
just really got into it. So the
Okay.
lore and how expansive it is in ESO, that's a plus for me. While playing the game, I have also found that exploration is heavily rewarded. You
How?
will be walking through the world and you will find quests as you travel. You'll
Yeah,
find
listen,
sky
Asmon.
shards, which are used to unlock more points that you can spend to customize your character.
Used to unlock
You'll
Delani.
find treasure chests and a whole lot more locations, world bosses, and just a lot of stuff. And that's a real pleasure when it comes to an MMO, especially for someone like me, because I like to explore. I like to go off the beaten path and find my own
Alright, so
way.
there's actually a few things to know about there. That's actually not all of what you can actually find within the world. Besides, let's see, he mentioned the Sky Shards, Dells, world bosses, and treasure chest, I believe. There's also Thieves' Troves, which contain stolen items that can either be sold, laundered, or utilized at the risk of being apprehended by guards. Or, I believe there's also Sigic portals, so if you actually go to Somerset, do the main storyline, get access to the Sigic Order skill line, you actually do have access to these Sigic portals, which give you special items from the area, special sets from the area, and can actually get you specially traded jewelry, which then you could research, which then allows you to actually craft the jewelry itself, as well as providing you with gear and resources. Let's see, what else is there that I'm trying to think of? There's also lore books. So these are books that have a purple hue to them that actually radiate a special color that you can find throughout the world. And all of these contain unique and interesting stories. Lust the Argonian Maid, Dwemer artifacts, ranting and ravings of mad lunatics. All of those are actually able to be found within the world. And the thing is about those lore books is that if you collect enough of them, you actually do get more and more access to various skills within the Mage's Order skill line. So, for example, on this character, if I go to Guild and go to Mage's Guild, this is actually increasing the rank in Mage's Guild. Collect special lore books to increase your rank in the Mage's Guild. Sorry if you can't see that. It may be a little bit obscured, maybe a little bit tiny, but I'll just read it out to you. But as you can see here, you have access to 4 skills plus an ultimate, and these skills also have a morph, so these morphs can actually make the skill go in 2 different directions. So effectively, you almost have roughly around 8 skills and 2 ultimates to choose from, as well as access to passives, especially this pervasive will passive that allows you special dialogue options within the game. So the exploration in this game is even tied to your skills, which then ties into your quest. I mean, the level of depth you can achieve in this game by exploring the world around you is massive. And the thing is, too, if you also get a rare item, say if you get a CP-160 Mother Sorrow Inferno Staff with Sharpened trait, that thing can be sold for a very pretty penny, let me tell you.
So having an MMO that doesn't hold your hand and you can just go out into the world and see what you can find, I like that.
That is fucking amazing. I want to say that right now. There are a few quest lines and like little quests out there in the world, and like if you're a vanilla WoW player, you might remember these. There was one in Winter Spring. Whenever you crossed the Frost Whisper Gorge.
To be fair, though, I never really learned the fucking lore of
His name was like the
WoW.
Lorax or something, and he would give you a quest. There were other quests in like Tanaris where you had to help a turtle get all the way back over to Gadgetstan or whatever the fuck, right? All these little quests were they added a certain amount of vibrance and life to the world. And now I don't really think that we have any of those. Like there's a few quests that are just like, like maybe we can go out of our way to do this. But I don't know if this is just like an outcome of data mining or whatever. But I do feel like there are a ton of like, the mechanical chicken was another one. Excuse me. Sorry. I have like a lot of, I don't know, I have like weird stuff with my throat going on.
But the thing is, too, you have to remember, when it comes to these Delves world bosses and I'm trying to remember what the special name is for, like, there's basically a Delve Plus, where it's like a miniature dungeon for a single person. Rather, it's technically for a group, but a single person can complete it if you're skilled. And all of those all have have quest lines associated with them that can either be found within them or are at the kind of entrance, and it's like, oh, I need your help. My ally's in there getting his ass eaten by a spider. Can you please help me? Or something like that. There's a lot of really creative ones. I know I'm just being very simplistic here. But literally with every single zone within this game, I mean, all of these sky shards, you can see the ones here listed Delve. This is also an add-on, by the way. This is not in the base game. But you can see these ones listed here. The Delves, they have a sky shard within them. They also have a quest within them. This is also Craglorn, by the way. These delves are all plus delves, so they are meant for 4 people. They are very hard. Although they've reduced the difficulty of them because no one was able to complete them. But as you can see, these are the traditional markings for delves. The white ones just mean I've completed them. So in this instance, each one of these actually has a sky shard plus a quest to do within them. And there's also these ones right here. This one's called the Hall of the Dead in East March. But this special marking denotes a type of delve instance with multiple bosses and one more difficult boss that has a 2-part mechanic that you can actually kill for an extra skill point, as well as also having a quest line within there that has the chance of either giving you an item that acts as a memento, which is like a account-wide item that you can activate for, a little bit of a gimmick or a little bit of lore handy in there. I mean, there's a lot of things you can explore in this game, and a lot of quest lines you can find that you won't necessarily initially get unless you go off the beaten path.
Which is why I talk oddly sometimes. I do apologize. there was like this thing over here where if you killed the Yetis, you would get like this magic fucking chicken item that would like summon a chicken, and
You
it
do
was just all
occasionally get a
these little
couple of those
things,
type
and
of
WoW,
quests.
It's like another one, an easy one that a lot of people probably remember from the WoW Classic Beta is if you type /cluck or /chicken at a chicken at the farm here, eventually you'll get a quest that gives you a chicken. Like that kind of stuff is really fucking cool, and I wish
Mr.
WoW had more of
Cluckers.
it.
Crafting in the game is very interesting as well. Now, if you've watched any of my other MMO videos, you know
Learning
that I'm
the
a big
craft
fan
in
of
this game
crafting.
was a pain.
Mixing,
Who
I'm
is
a
it?
big fan of crafting. Yes, I am. The crafting in this game has a
How does
bit
he
of
eat
a
with the
learning
helmet on?
curve to it because you can do things like research new like traits, and you can also upgrade your items, and it requires these potions. And the point is, there's a bit of a learning curve, but the crafting in the game is interesting, and it has an actual progression feeling, especially as you put more points into crafting, because then you'll be able to see nodes lit up in the world. You will have
That
a
actually is cool.
worker that will work for you, and they'll deliver stuff to your mail every day, delivering like crafting
So it's the
materials
Garrison
and stuff.
guy,
And
yeah.
there's just a lot
Okay.
of really cool things to unlock.
Yeah, and
as a
I have many
crafter, and
characters
you
with
can even
many
make furniture
hirelings.
for your house as a crafter. And yeah, speaking of houses, player housing. The player housing,
Which we're
in the
actually
world
in right
has a
now is one
lot
of them.
Depth to it. I love going into a dungeon, killing the final boss, and then
So just to talk about crafting a little bit, because I kind of just like skipped over that lickety-split. A lot of the systems in this game do have a overarching system. So when it comes to it, there is a resource that you can farm out into this world. You refine that resource into a raw material, which then you can use to craft armor of a certain level. So rubidite is currently the max level resource, and that is used to craft rubidite armor. So say you would need about 160 rubidite ingots to craft a CP 160 chest piece, which currently gets you the best stats possible. But also refining that can give you gemstones that allow you to craft certain styles, or you get certain gems, quote unquote, I'm not entirely sure what the name is, that allow you to craft certain trait gear. So gear itself actually does have traits. So if you actually take a look at my gear right here, my helmet right now has a trait called Impenetrable, which reduces critical damage taken. So say if somebody crits me for 2,000 damage, it's reduced by 250 points of damage. And I have all this gear with Impen because I PvP with this build, so having a reduction in critical strikes is very useful. Otherwise, you will get one-shotted in some instances, or you'll get a wombo combo that really just takes your freaking head off. Not mandatory, but you certainly will have a lot more success if you utilize impenetrable gear. But you can research those traits for all individual pieces of armor. So you can research impenetrable for heavy armor, which then allows you to actually craft a chest piece with that trait, assuming you have the base resources, the trait, plus the style gem needed to craft whatever style you want. And there are many, 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 many styles to craft in this game. Not to mention every single base race has their own style, but every new dungeon basically has their new style. Every raid has a new style, essentially. I mean, the potential for customization through crafting is absolutely asinine, and I'm not even getting into item sets yet. So, depending on the amount of traits you have researched for a particular piece of armor, you actually can craft an armor that also has that's a part of a set. So then, as you can see right here, I made these Sabatons of Morkolden. So after researching, I believe it was 7 or 8 traits, which takes a lot of time, you actually can craft this armor, which allows you to summon an animated sword when you light or heavy attack that attacks people for you. Of course, this is meant to be on a stamina character. I'm wearing this on a mage character because fuck the meta. And I've actually had pretty good success with it so far. Of course, it's there's plenty of other sets that you can actually research. So if you actually look on Fextra's webpage, if you go to ESO sets, Google search that, go to Fextra's Life, and then go to the crafted sets, there is a whole honkin' list of item sets that you can actually craft, and it tells you how many traits you need and where to craft it, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. So that's a whole thing you can do now. They've also recently done that with jewelry, so now you can research jewelry and then make item sets with that set with jewelry now, which is kind of nice. So it even opens up more opportunities so that you can actually wear 2 5-piece crafted sets. But like I said, that level of complexity is quite intense for most people to grasp initially. So, Miss Biz Plays has a absolute fabulous series on crafting, but I mean, there is freaking many videos about that if you want to learn a bit more.
Mounting their head atop my fireplace.
And I completely forgot to mention about provisioning, enchanting, and alchemy, which provisioning is food crafting, which is essential for nice stats. Enchanting, so that every gear has magic, stamina, health, or, I mean, there is a freak load of enchants that you could put on your gear. There's specific enchants for jewelry, weapons, and armor. And then alchemy, oh my god, don't even get me started on that.
That is awesome. A lot of the stuff that
Wow,
you're going
that
to
seems
fill your
familiar.
house with is going to be things that you find out in the world, or they're going to be things that you craft at a crafting bench. There's also a lot of cool stuff you can get off the Crown store too, which is the Elder Scrolls Online's version of, that's their like cosmetic shop thing. But if you're not,
Also, I will recommend that you can actually buy a lot of those stuff off the auction house. So that Nordic brazier he was showing, I can craft that, or I can purchase it off the guild stores. There is no global auction house. There is local shops owned by individual guilds that sell items. However, there are also add-ons that you can get to make sure that you're getting a fabulous price. So I use TTC, Tamil Trade Center, I believe. Really nice item to have.
not a big fan of player housing, you're probably not going to be interested in that. There's just a lot of recipes to find all throughout the world.
Like, the player housing and everything, that's something that's exciting to me, but I'll be real. Whenever I had my stash in Path of Exile, that shit was a rat's nest. Like, I just literally, like, I took an open space, and I was like, you're standing here, you're here, you're here, you're here. Here's my bench, here's the enchanting thing, here's the map tool, here's Xana, here's the stash, and it's just a big
you can do that here too.
rat's nest of garbage.
I mean, you can do that. That isn't, like, disallowed here.
I mean my stash in Path of Exile, specifically.
So, for example, you can do that. You can have a very utilitarian-styled base, or you can have a very elaborate base. So, for example, this one, which I'm having a hard time decorating because it's so fucking massive, but this mansion right here that you can actually purchase with in-game gold, you can do quite a lot of decoratory stuff here. And there's plenty of ways to actually design it. I've seen arenas built, statues to the dragon gods built, statues to the blood god built. I mean, there's a lot of things to do. And when you start dealing with houses these big, you can actually invite people over to even have guild role-playing sessions, or, how would I say, even guild tournaments or dueling tournaments. I've seen a lot of stuff done here. So here's just a fraction of my house. You can see the Nordic ruins that we just came out of, where, you know, the Draugr would typically be. And then we also have our freaking Jarl's Hall here, that nice 6-story behemoth with 2 guard towers, which you can both access, as well as a large patio here, which I've set up my guild bank, or not my guild bank, my banker right here, so I can access my bank at all times. You can also get a merchant, so I can put that anywhere within my house, and then I can access, you know, potions to buy, lockpicks, sell, you know, useless gear I don't need, a lot of stuff. And then over here, we also have, you know, cooking stations, enchanting, woodworking, clothing. Here's a storage that you can get for all of your houses that's similar to a bank, but slightly different. I use it to store extra furniture pieces. So, for example, I have currently, let's see, how many of these do I have? I have 10,800 thrones here. Don't ask why I have so many of them, but that's also another potential you can get here. And then you got your horses here that you can kind of show off, be like, oh wow, you see this nice Imperial horse that I got through the Imperial's Collector's Edition in 2014? Yeah, peasant. So you can do stuff like that. You can do a lot of stuff like that. I'm gonna sit on my stool real quick while we listen to this video even more. I'm sorry also for stopping this video every 10 seconds. We're only halfway through, don't worry.
And there's lots of different ways to decorate your homes, and there's tons of different homes to choose from with many different themes located all across the world. And it just the game just has a nice variety when it comes to its player housing. The world is also very interactable, and what I mean by that is you can pick up
You cut down
objects,
trees?
you can search in barrels, you can sneak into people's homes
Kind of.
and steal things.
Kind of.
You can pickpocket NPCs, you
Ooh.
can kill NPCs if you want.
I
And
like
leads
that.
to some really interesting
You can even pickpocket the
gameplay
guards if
that
you want to, if you got big
makes Elder
balls.
Scrolls Online feel very different from other MMOs that I've played. For example, you can play as an upstanding warrior who does no wrong, and you go around and you smash bad guys' heads in with your axe, or you can play the game completely
Be them
different.
good role players.
You can be a backstabbing rogue who sneaks into people's homes, steals their stuff, assassinates them while they sleep, and then have a bounty on your head where you have to sneak around through your towns. And
You only have a
to
bounty off your
dodge
head if you're a
guards,
crap
and then you
rogue.
have these underground Thieves Guild-esque bases beneath cities.
It's kind of weird whenever he's talking about this kind of stuff, because you think about all the different parallels to WoW. Like, WoW used to have all of these things. You killed Onyxia, Onyxia's head went on Stormwind. You killed Nefarian, same fucking thing. If you're hated by a city after you've killed a bunch of stuff, you've got to sneak by there all the time. All of these different things, like, I really wish
That's
they
not
still had
really
more of them. And
similar,
like now, it's
but
just not
kind
the case
of.
at all. It's very disappointing.
Where
Yeah,
you
fast
can
forward to
sell your
BFA. Yeah, I
stolen
know.
goods, and you can also get bounties cleared off your head so that
kind
guards
of.
will not kill you on sight. And it just
It's kind of different in this game. You can take anybody's items off here, but there necessarily isn't a reputation system where if you're consistently a criminal, you will eventually be banned from certain cities. That's not true within this game necessarily. You can steal items, get caught, assassinate people, get caught, and then the guards try to kill you, which they hurt really freaking bad, and they will snare, stun, and whip you to death if they get the chance. So you gotta be slippery as butter if you want to be a really crappy rogue. But at the exact same time, there actually is a decent amount of profit to be made from it. You can actually find rare blueprints for crafting or for furniture, and you can even sell those for like some 15,000 gold in some instances, or find an Imperial motif, which is extremely rare drop, but is actually worth quite a bit since it is a very sought after and valuable motif. So there is a decent amount of value to be had, as well as also getting just treasures that you can sell for a profit.
it really makes you feel like a rogue. It makes you feel like an
Oh, and on a side note, you can also, since you interact with these lenders here and the fences to sell your items, you actually also level up a Thieves Guild skill line, which is more like passives, that actually make you better at sneaking too.
assassin and a thief if you go down that style of gameplay, and that's really cool. There's a lot of replayability because of how interactable the world is, and I love that. In regards to PvE, something that I've been doing a
This
lot
is
of
what I
is
care
I've
about.
been tanking as
Yeah.
Jarl and Thoriel. And tanking for me in this game has been a lot of fun. The tanking for me has been really cool because of the fact that it's not
And it's not
this
just
auto
tanking.
AoE taunting nonsense that you see from other MMOs. It's a lot of single target
out of stamina,
focus, and
heavy
It's
attack.
just a lot of running around, and it
There
requires
you
a lot
go.
of paying attention, and I like
It's
that.
a nice shield.
As a tank, I'm also buffing my allies
There's
all
a lot
the time,
better shields
making
too, to
sure
be
that they're
honest.
protected with shields and whatnot. And the tank experience really makes you feel tough. It makes you feel like a tank, like you're running.
Alright, so just one quick thing. In this game, there is a meta, not really a meta per se, but the average tank tends to be more of a support towards the DPS. So they would do things like they would be running a crushing enchant, which reduces the armor of bosses and minions. They would also be trying to hold the NPCs in one particular location to improve the DPS and make it easier to hit with AoE abilities. And they would also occasionally provide synergy abilities that would increase their DPS. There's also, there's not really a defined path for tanking in any regards. It's just be able to taunt something and you're a tank. After that, you can pretty much do whatever you will. If you want to be an assistive healer, Good, go ahead and do that. Want to help out DPS? Throw guard on, guard another DPS so they don't get one-shotted if they're super weak, as well as also give them minor force, which increases their critical damage, so then now you actually passively increase damage while also protecting the DPS. Or you can run a kind of like a Magicka tank that allows you to shield people while also slowing the NPCs down while providing a shield to yourself. I mean, the complexity when it comes to potential build paths for tanks is asinine, and Nixium, while not saying he has scratched the surface, there is quite a bit more depth than I believe than he can articulate in a 23-minute video.
Around and you're actually a part of a battle. And
That's good.
I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know
There's
not
also
all
different
care
tanking
about
styles if you're
PvE. You don't
PvP
give two
tanking.
shits about PvE. It's all about the PvP, man. And the PvP in this game is absolutely fucking incredible. Going to Cyrodiil and doing sieges, fighting with your friends.
And I should just note that PvP in this game is a little bit more in-depth. We have Overworld, Imperial City, plus Battlegrounds, I believe. So, Overworld is like Guild Wars 2, you take keeps, you crown Emperor. Battlegrounds, they're Battlegrounds, except it's 4v4v4, so 12 people on 3 teams, and then Imperial City is like a free-for-all zone with smaller objectives mixed with PvE elements.
And like timing abilities off of each other. So
See,
that
that's
you can
what really
blow
matters
people
is
up.
like
It's so
Mass
this
coordination
what I've
is
been waiting
really
to see,
fun sometimes.
Is that, like, all these other nice little goofy fucking bullshit things is, oh, wow, you can eat a fucking chicken leg and break into somebody's house and go do bounties and all this other bullshit.
Detroit Become
Like,
Human.
I mean, like, yeah, that's cool. But, like, really, like, whenever you log on and you've played the game for a month, like, what do you log on and what the fuck do you do? And, like,
I've been doing a lot of
this is what I
BGs.
care about, is, like, the emergent player behavior. This is what fucking counts.
so cool. Defending keeps and attacking
Rank
them.
28
I
on
love it. And I've even
leaderboards.
crowned an emperor in this game over on my stream on Twitch. Yeah, we got together and we captured all the keeps around the Imperial City and we crowned an emperor. The point is,
And that's
PvP
pretty
is
damn fun when you
interesting.
actually do it.
It's fun. However, there's still a lot that could be
And you
said
earn
about
a lot of
PvP,
rewards
and I'm
doing
gonna
that
talk
too.
about that later. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about is the combat point system.
There's so much more
or the
complexity to the
champion
PvP
level
than he's able to
system.
actually
Oh, that's for
articulate.
Hellbind.
Well, here's how it works. When you hit level 50, which is the level cap in this game, you continue to level, but you level by getting champion points. You progress
too
in
much?
power, essentially. You can then take these points and you can spend them in these various trees where you can increase the healing that you receive or how much damage you do with your attacks. And
Oh, that's the
essentially
mount.
you just make your character more and
It's
more
a-
powerful.
actually
the
a
more
fucking
points
bear.
that you get. Now, the cool
quite a
thing
few
about
bears in this game, too.
champion point system, and the reason why I like it, is you get these points by doing anything.
Okay.
You can get them through crafting, you can get them through doing dungeons, you can get them through PvPing, or my favorite is you can get them by leveling alts. You see, once you unlock these points, this champion level system, it also unlocks.
Oh, yeah,
all
that's right.
your
This is where he got
alts
the
as well.
information
It's sort of
wrong.
your reward for hitting level 50.
That's
and
really
now,
good.
all of your alts, you can put these points in where you can make your alts even more powerful so that your alts can smash through the levels even faster, while at the same time gaining more points.
So that's
for
like
the CP
heirlooms,
system
except for you
through
get
doing
something out of it
quests
for your
and
main.
battlegrounds and yada yada yada.
Well, to actually correct Nixium here, all experience earned after level 50 goes towards champion points. However, every character that's below level 50 also gets access to the champion point system. So every point of experience earned by a character below level 50 only goes towards their personal level. Once they hit level 50, they get full access to the champion point system. So they are allowed to get wear CP 160 gear as opposed to gear at level 50. So there's actually a huge power spike when alts hit level 50 because they essentially level up 16 more times. But the champion point system is accessible to these lower level alts. They just don't contribute to the overall level. So say if I created a new alternative character, I could apply all 810 CP, I believe, all 810 champion points to my character, and increases, damage output, survivability, and tankiness through the roof because of it. But, just a little bit of correction there. Your character's EXP below level 50 doesn't really contribute to your earnings at CP.
Which also apply to your main.
Okay.
That might sound a little confusing, but here's a chart. Look at it. That's how it works, kinda.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to the
Yeah, that
review.
makes perfect sense.
But anyway, those are 10
Even Asmongold knows it's
positives that
wrong.
I have chosen from Elder Scrolls Online. I could have chosen a lot more, but I'm just kind of keeping things short and simple for the sake of the video. I don't want to go into too much detail.
I mean, to be
otherwise
fair,
we're
he
gonna
covered
be
pretty
here
much
all
everything.
day.
PvP,
But we can't just
PvE.
talk about the positives of the game.
Can't really have
We
much
to
after
talk about
that.
Some of the negatives as well. Some
Yeah.
things that I've noticed about the game that I don't necessarily hate, but they're definitely worth mentioning as cons. So let's start with that.
All right.
Number one.
Let's see what he's
the
got to
first
offer
thing that
us.
stood out to me as a con in this game was, well, it's really cool how you have this super in-depth ability to customize your character in any way that you want. But sometimes what happens is certain classes can create these builds that are incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful to the point that it takes like 20 plus players just to kill one guy because their build is so OP.
Oh, so they're
And
Blood
before
Death
you
Knights.
say, nah, Nixie,
Okay.
there's no way, dude. Like, no, I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
I fucking streamed it.
That's
Like, some
simple.
of these guys are absolutely unkillable. Like, it takes an entire army to kill them. It's insane.
True. There are some situations in which you do have characters that do have a heightened survivability, and this is even more pronounced if you go on champion point PvP servers. So there are champion point and non-champion point PvP servers, and most people tend to go champion point servers because you can do very wonky and interesting things there with your build. But then non-champion point servers also offer a unique challenge as well, especially with resources and survivability. And so all of these builds that he's talking about are hyper survivability builds. Typically, they're like Sword and Board Templars or Sword and Board DKs that have reduced block cost reduction and have a crap load of stamina regen, so they can pretty much, perma block, reducing their damage taken while also spamming shields or spamming damage reduction items. They're basically meant to be bullet sponges, except when you do that, when you add in hyper survivability, you also reduce your ability to be offensive. So while you can be this really beefy and annoying tank, you also reduce your damage output considerably to the point where even DPS characters can throw on a hot or a heal over time effect and just ignore you. Unless you stun and slow them, and then at that point they're like, wow, I'm going to slash roleplay and get the fuck out of here, because you're just being a little shit now. But, onward!
It's insane. They're just like massive, like, buff people. And it's crazy.
Gotta
And
apply
when a
Major
bunch of,
Defile,
people
reduce
run
their
around in
healing,
groups
start
together,
smacking them,
buffing
that's how
each
you do
other,
it.
Sometimes you can't fucking kill anybody, and yeah, some people are just a little stupid OP, and that stands out to me on the PvP front.
And there are ways to actually
Yeah,
deal with those
Fucking
too.
awesome. I still
I
love
think
the
so.
PvP.
Which actually, there is a way that I kind of deal with those kind of characters. I throw on this flower ability called Corrupting Pollen. And besides healing my allies and allowing my allies to use a synergy to heal them, they can also, well, rather, if any of my enemies stand within this field of healing, they also have Major Defile, which reduces their healing received by 30%. So they have to get out of that field if they want their healing to return to normal. And that really messes over a lot of these builds because they need to constantly be healing, otherwise they dead. So doing that's one way to counter them, as well as also applying certain sets also kind of help counter it. So I use this Night Slayer set right here, which for every fully charged heavy attack, which is quite difficult to consistently pump out in PvP due to the increased prevalence of barriers as well as hypermobility, this allows you to actually do 9% of their maximum health per fully charged heavy attack, which is actually quite nice to deal with some of these tanks that have 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 HP, and can spam shields that also block damage. So this applies Oblivion damage, which cannot be blocked, so it just goes straight through them, right to their health, and that kind of allows them to wear them down a little bit at a time. So there are ways to counter them. You just have to be a little bit more knowledgeable on the various systems within this game to actually properly or to effectively do that in some instances. But there's many ways you can, so don't feel like you have to be pigeonholed into a certain build to counter these people. And you could also just ignore them too.
The second thing to talk about in regards to PvP is this isn't really like a con, it's just more of a criticism. It's just the fact that I really want to see more come out of the PvP system in El...
That's a con. Like, you shouldn't be able to 1v20 people. Like, that's a con. And
to
you
1v20
couldn't do
people
that in
takes
Classic.
either an adequate 20 people or an
that's a fucking con.
extremely powerful
And
one person. But even then, that's still
Why
very
not?
rare
Well,
nowadays.
it's like, okay, so it depends on why is somebody that powerful. Are they that powerful because they've put 10,000 hours into the game whenever everyone else has put in like 50 or 100 or 1,000 maybe? Then yeah, maybe we can have a conversation about it. But if somebody is just playing a certain build that makes them innately this powerful, then yes, I would consider that a huge fucking con. Absolute.
And that has been an issue in this game in the past. I haven't done overworld PvP in a hot second, so I haven't seen very many instances of 1v20s. But if you build in a certain fashion and you're able to coax people into a certain room and do a certain thing, you might be able to do this in an inept group. But any of those that actually have like a dedicated healer, doing a 1v20 is very hard nowadays. An old example of a 1v20 used to be a Dragon Knight, a Vampire Dragon Knight, that would spam their healing bat swarm that would deal damage, heal, and would also generate ultimate back when dynamic ultimate generation was still a thing. And those things were absolutely broken. But like I said, that was back in like 2015. These days, it's a little bit harder to do when it comes to most 1v20 situations. It's usually somebody outrunning a 20 group and picking them off one by one as they slowly trickle in, since they essentially stretch out a group. If your group is tightly balled and well-disciplined, yeah, one person won't be able to kill you. Sure, they can throw some trebuchets on you, but, you know, slash laugh them off, throw fucking purge on, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's not the end of the world sometimes when you face a lot of these builds.
Absolutely.
Unless you... No, God, I shouldn't say that. Which is going to ban me now.
Right now in Cyrodiil, you have the whole, you know, sieging keeps and burning down fortresses and so on and so forth. And that's really cool. But something that I want to see going forward is more bases, more ways to siege castles and stuff. I want to be able to, like,
which they
scale
have
the walls
done
with ladders. I know that in the next expansion they're going to create things where you can get these legendary weapons to destroy walls in one hit.
Wow.
And I just want to see more things
that's
added
cool.
to the series.
Yeah, they're meant to be Emperor counters, because if you're Emperor in this game, that increases your stats a crap load.
To be tapped, and I want to make a video talking about that more in depth. And the final thing that I'd like to say is a con, and it's not really...
And I should say they have added things to the overworld PvP. Like I said, the aforementioned Cyrodiil, the Imperial City, actually did add a dynamic to the game as well, added another area to play within and to earn Telvar stones, to buy new item sets, to buy resources, to buy costumes, to buy a whole lot of stuff. They've also added in gates that you can destroy, that people used to bunk inside and do very insane tactics. There are bridges that you can destroy and utilize within this game, or repair, to add a tactical advantage. I mean, there's plenty of things to do. See, you got another mile gates here. They've all been destroyed, probably because everyone's too damn lazy to repair them. They don't want to fix them. It's too hard. Doing work's too hard. But you can, there's certain things you can do. There's also these towns you can capture that add strategic points to reinforce certain areas. So they add a little bit more of a tactical edge to certain areas that you can now capture. There's also these resources that you can capture that benefit the keep, make it stronger, or if you don't have any of them, that cut off the supply routes and make it extremely weak and vulnerable to attack. There's a lot of things you can get and do in Cyrodiil. It isn't as flat as people like to think. It's just a lot of people play it flat because they don't want to group up and coordinate on Discord or TeamSpeak or Ventrilo or Skype. And they just don't want to do that. But there is more depth to it than people give it a thought. Oh, shit. 1 second. I accidentally muted it.
Depending on who you are, but
we'll see.
The end game is very grindy. Because once you hit level 50, it's just a grind to get those champion points. And although
well, to be fair, you're leveling. You could say that about leveling, too. Leveling is a grind.
Like it, For some people, it might come off as being very grindy because you get these points by doing quests and PvE and PvP, and maybe you just want to be max level and have all your points and that be it. You don't want to grind 700 champion points, you know what I mean? So
What the fuck?
that could be a con to some people.
Assuming you
Whenever
use it, like,
someone
once a
hears
day.
that.
Exploring the world and continuing to progress your character, I don't think you're going to see that as a con at all.
Well, to be fair, you can earn, dozens of champion points a day. Actually, the first, how should I say? I'm trying to think. CP 160 is the max level in champion points for armor. And that would be the equivalent of doing about a zone's worth, or about 10 CP is the equivalent of doing a zone's worth of content without any scrolls. However, you can get EXP scrolls passively by logging in or crafting them in-game that allow you to actually passively increase your experience earned. So, you could earn 10 CP just by doing the zone, doing the delves, or doing, world anchors, doing quests. You can also earn it by doing PvP. There's a lot of ways you can actually level up in this game. And there is certainly a lot of content to do that, so you don't have to force yourself into going to a certain dungeon, killing 1,000 mobs to level up as fast as possible. You can still do questing. That's how I leveled up the vast majority of my characters, was by doing questing. So I leveled up this character by going to this area, questing in here, getting to level 50, and then I had 800 champion points, so they instantly got 800 champion points. Leveled essentially, and they hit max level. It's not as grindy as it used to be. They've reduced the grind in this game considerably because people were concerned about the potential runaway grind effect, where if you keep adding on levels every expansion, eventually it would be, oh wow, I have to get to veteran level 100, and that takes me 7 years on a brand new character. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. They make the leveling in this game fairly easy.
Overall, though, I have had a ton of fun with the Elder Scrolls Online. I've been playing this game
and there's a lot of ways to
single
level
day almost, playing as my Dragon Knight, playing as my Sorcerer, and just having an absolutely freaking epic time playing with you guys on Twitch.
It's
I
music.
hit level 50 on my Dragon Knight. I'm currently grinding out the champion points. I'm doing the veteran dungeons. I'm excited to do trials, and although I'm still relatively new to the game, I think I've gotten a nice good taste of it, and I felt like it was time to make a video like this where I would share my thoughts. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this look into the Elder Scrolls Online and into my mind.
All right.
Now, would I recommend
Sounds like you're having
playing
fun
Elder
so
Scrolls
far.
Online and giving it a chance? Yes, definitely. If you're someone like me that played the game back when it first came out and you didn't like it, dude, right here,
this
man,
is a
I was-
boss.
Completely
That's what I'm
changed.
waiting to see.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I played it again.
There's
and I
hundreds
gave
of
it
bosses
a
in this
chance,
game.
and
That's
honestly, I'm
one of the
having a
simpler
blast,
ones.
and I think you'll have a blast too. So,
It's still
guys,
difficult
I
to
hope
do
you
in
enjoyed
veteran
hearing my
content,
thoughts
because there
on
is
the
two
Elder
difficulties you can do
Scrolls
for most
Online.
dungeons.
If you'd like to see more Elder Scrolls Online content from me, leave a comment down below in the comment section, because I'd like to talk a little bit more about the PvP and the PvE and some of the systems in more depth down the road, and share my full thoughts on them. But in this video, you gotta keep things short and simple. Otherwise, this is gonna be a long ass video.
Oh, you
But,
can make
just leave a comment
videos
down below
hundreds of
and
hours
say,
long
"God,
exploring
Nick,
everything
maybe
in
you
this
should talk
game.
more
It would
about
take you
PvP," or- I don't know.
days to do
Feel free
everything.
to leave a suggestion. But either way, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. I will see you all soon with my next project. And I guess I'll see you in
He's on Bleak Rock Isle. I remember that quest zone. I love Bleak Rock Isle. Very aesthetic looking place
Okay.
there.
Um,
And I just want to quickly mention the dungeon boss he was doing there was a part of, I believe, City of Ash 2.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
And everyone's saying, play it, try it, play it,
look
try
at
it.
his guild name. His guild name, apparently, I guess, assuming it's green, right? And it's like a combined thing that people are talking.
I can't even see it because it's so small on my
Warlords of
screen.
Draenords. Oh, boy. All right, so
Spam what in the chat. Okay, where'd my face go? There we go. He's looking like he wants to. He's looking like he wants to.
I mean, I'm thinking.
I
It's
mean,
like
do it,
I
man.
played Resident Evil. I didn't think I'd
And it's
ever
not that
really
expensive
play
either to get
that, and
into.
I did that because
It's not like
people
World of
wanted me to
Warcraft in that
play it.
way.
So if a lot of people want to
Play
see
ESO,
the game,
play ESO. Try it, play it. Oh yeah, you
I
could do a
could
Twitter
try
poll to
it.
see what actually his content people
I mean,
want.
I think that would actually be really interesting because as a person that's played WoW, and I've played other MMOs too, but like mostly WoW, right? I mean, like, let's be honest, that's pretty much what I've been into.
Yeah. So, like I said, that stream just randomly cuts off right there, even though he went on for like another 5 or 10 more minutes kind of debating whether or not he should actually do it. But it's pretty damn interesting. Getting somebody like that into this game, I could see actually being a big help to not only get more people exposed to this game, as well as just him finding a little bit more personal enjoyment with something. I mean, he probably would actually like it. There is plenty of things for him to collect. A lot of mounts to collect, a lot of pets to collect, a lot of motif pages to collect. I mean, that's the majority of his WoW content, so I mean, yeah, got a lot of that to do. But it's true when it comes to PvE and PvP, there's certainly a lot of things being added all the time, as well as a lot of things to currently do, because when it comes to this game, all of the content that's been added is actually scaled up to max level. So there actually is, how should I say, there is effectively, how should I say this? Effectively, all the content within this game can be done at max level because it kind of scales to you in that way. Kind of like Heart of Azeroth, but in a more cohesive fashion, especially considering this one actually allows you to, well, be more powerful when you level up. But like I said, since we have all this backlog content, you have all of the old dungeons that you can still do and still actually rock their sets as a modern build, as well as all the old trials and raids that you can do. I mean, none of this content has been quote-unquote outdated ever since I think it was in the update prior to Homestead that made everything kind of level up to you, so that you were able to effectively do all of this content in new challenging ways. So there is still a lot of things for him to do here. I mean, for him just to do all the dungeons would take freaking forever. Assuming he doesn't just get carried by some guild member or somebody who invites him to the game. Like, oh yeah, man, I'll show you to the new dungeons. And it's like this dude that can do 50,000 DPS, and you kill the boss so fast that you can't even properly even learn the mechanics in some instances. But, like I said, that's still a rare instance, and there's still situations like that in this game. It's a lot of things to learn, a lot of things to love in this game, and I think he would actually enjoy it if given the chance. Although I do believe in another one of his streams where he was looking at, say, the cinematic trailers, he then went on to actually look at potentially downloading and purchasing this game, which this game itself is actually not very expensive. I mean, I think you can buy a $60 pack that includes the base game, Imperial Edition, plus a whole slew of DLC. But you don't even have to do that. You could buy the base game, buy the Imperial Edition, or rather, no. You could buy the base game and then subscribe to the game, and then passively, when you subscribe to this game, you earn crowns. Since you basically get, if you pay $15 subscription, you get $15 worth of crowns plus access to the subscription features of this game, which then you can use those crowns to buy the DLC, but you don't even need to do that because being subscribed to this game also gives you access to that DLC, so you don't even have to buy the DLC anymore. If you've subscribed, you can basically do all of the dungeons in this game for free. So, I mean, there's a lot of DLC in this game, to be honest. You have Dark Brotherhood, Dragon Bones, that's just a big pack, Horns of the Reach, Imperial City. Morrowind's actually a chapter, but you can still buy that with crowns and get access to that with ESO+. Murkmire is a new zone. You have Orsinium, Shadows of the Haze, which is dungeons, Clockwork City, which is zones plus dungeons, Thieves Guild, zones plus dungeons, and Thieves Guild also has Maw of Lord Kosh, nice trial, Wolf Hunter, even more dungeons. I mean, oh my goodness, there is so much content you can get free just by subscribing to this game. Which then, even if you don't like subscribing to this game, all the crowns you earn through subscribing, you could then just be used to purchase the DLC, and then you don't really even need to subscribe to this game anymore. So it's a lot of weird things. There's also chapters, which new chapters you have to purchase. However, if you are patient and wait for the chapter to become the old chapter, say in about a year's time, you can actually just get that through the subscription-based model as well, or purchase it with crowns. So with Morrowind now being the first chapter and is now an old chapter since Somerset came out, which is the current chapter, you can actually get Morrowind through ESO Plus or purchase it right now, which is actually currently on a sale for only 1,700 crowns, which I have no idea how much that is in terms of actual currency at max value. But you could also just, well, get ESO Plus and do that. So it's a fairly cheap game to actually get involved in. Oh, that's right, you guys can't even freaking see that because that's just in the way right now. Here we go. Let me see if I can pump that up right here. But yeah, all this DLC you can see, you can access with ESO Plus nowadays. Somerset you'll have to purchase through, whatever, but you can always get it cheaper. They always put it on sale too. But that's me being redundant at this point. I think we can call it good here. What do you guys think about it? How do you guys feel about Asmongold potentially getting into the Elder Scrolls community? I mean, it does seem pretty damn sick, to be honest. To actually see somebody like him try to cross over into the ESO world. I mean, there has been plenty of stories of people going from WoW or Final Fantasy 14 or 1700 or Guild Wars 2 into ESO and transitioning quite nicely. I mean, I'm curious. How do people view about this game on Steam right now? Let me actually take a gander at what we got here. So, I won't show this on stream because I don't want you guys to spam my Steam page, or account page, or what the fuck it's called. But, Elder Scrolls Online. Let's see. Yeah, you can buy it for 20 bucks on Steam. It's not even that expensive. But that's just the base game. But, let's see. Let's see what the average reviews are. And the most recent reviews, 72% people thought it was positive, which is actually pretty good. Most negative reviews of this game come from the fact that people don't like downloading the 100 gigabyte game, because the game itself is quite massive. As you can imagine, with all these new zones, dungeons, trials, and just massive zones to begin with that base game, it takes a lot to download here. But a lot of people get pissed off about that. That's why Steam reviews are a little bit lower. But even then, the top reviews for Elder Scrolls Online right now are all very high. Oh yeah, people complaining about the ping in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, that does make sense. That is a little bit unfortunate, but you can still play with this game. I mean, I still play at 100 ping, and I'm pretty much fine for the most part. And I guess people also kind of dislike the cash shop mechanic, but the thing is, too, this game did try to traditionally launch as a subscription-based game, and people did not like it when it dropped as a subscription-based game. People were refusing to actually interact with the game because of that. So they actually had to switch over to this buy-to-play mechanic where all you have to do is buy the game and then you get access to it for life. However, because of that, they also have to implement a crown store so they can actually make money, and then people start complaining about that. But the thing is, they've tried to balance out the crown store as much as they can. So for the most part, you can buy cosmetic items. That's what the main selling point of this game is. But you can also buy potions, food, repair kits, gems, scrolls of experience. You can buy all of those items in here, and poisons as well. But the thing is, all of these items that you can see right here, these are actually all worse than what you can craft yourself. So crafting your own items is still creme de la crop. It is still the best thing to do in this game. The crown store in a way does not usurp the position of crafted items within this game. So still, if you have the mental fortitude and the patience to craft items in this game, you will still be better than those who just purchase all of their stuff off the crown store. And also, to be fair, you also can't really buy sets off the crown store from what I understand. You can't buy, say, weapons or maelstrom weapons or anything like that off the crown store. You still have to go get those or purchase those off guild stores or make them yourselves. So it's not like you can buy your way to max level. You can't buy max level characters in this game. It's not like World of Warcraft. You have to make your max level character. You have to farm your own gear. You have to get your own enchants. And if you choose to get your own poisons, look at that, you get a DPS boost. If you choose to make your own food, look at that, you get a better health and magicka boost. If you choose to create your own XP scrolls, you can still do that, it's cheaper. You know, stuff like that. It isn't necessarily forcing you to do things, or forcing you to actually interact with the story. It's purely all optional, it isn't like you have to do it. And the fact that people say that it's pay to win, or it forces you to do it, it's still more of a misrepresentation of this game. And probably due to lack of actual context and lack of experience and interaction with the story itself. Sure, could it be less intrusive on gameplay? I suppose, but the way it's currently implemented doesn't really obfuscate the need for actual playing. It doesn't, you know, force you not to play or to become lazy and passive. It's not like a Garrison where it's like, oh, I log in, get my Irelings done, and then I log off for the day because that's more time effective. Nope, no. No, you don't need to do that. It's not like a mobile game. Hey, and thank you for the follow on Mixer and Twitch, by the way. So, Alexa Bees, thank you for that as well. So I forgot to mention you, as well as RudyMan12. Thank you. So, yeah. God, my voice is now shot because I've just been talking for like a solid 30 minutes. And I haven't even done anything today. It's already been an hour and 13 minutes. I mean, that's impressive. To spend an hour and 13 minutes just talking about a single video. I feel like one of those commentators on YouTube that talk about a single Family Guy episode for 3 hours.